Hey y'all, it's Dare De La Soul, and today I'm doing like a little tip video, I guess. More like educational, I don't know what to call it. But today we're gonna be talking about shedding versus breakage. I get a lot of questions about how to stop shedding, how to prevent breakage, and I'm gonna go ahead, I feel like I've done a video on this before, but I'm gonna go ahead and do another one just so it's fresh on you guys' radar and on you guys' mind about how to retain length and to stop shedding, because those are two totally different things. Okay, first and foremost, we're gonna talk about the difference between breakage and shedding. Breakage is when you're literally breaking pieces of your hair off. So the breakage starts on the lower end of your hair. So it's like when you're detangling or when you're styling and pieces of your hair are like snapping off. That is what you call breakage. Shedding is when your hair is actually shedding out, coming out from the root. So this is happening in your brushes. So when you like clean your brush or your comb, whatever you detangle your hair with, or when you're finger detangling and long strands of hair are coming out, that is what you call shedding. So to kind of recognize the difference is, again, when you're combing and detangling and you're pulling out wads of hair, like long pieces of hair, that's how much you're shedding. Now when you're styling and you're looking down at like your kitchen counter or whatever the case may be, however, and you're seeing like little itty bitty like strands or little itty bitty curls, that is what is called breakage. And a lot of times people get the two confused, and people say, oh, my hair isn't growing, it just keeps breaking off. Well, that's something totally different as well. If your hair is not growing, then literally your hair should be thinning out. The problem is either you're breaking it off faster than you're retaining the length, so which means that your hair is coming out, but at the same time you're eating it up, so you're not really getting it, because hair grows up to half an inch or an inch a month, and if you're breaking off just as much hair as that's growing out, then it feels like your hair is not growing. But unless your hair is like thinning out, which means the hair is shedding, because hair is supposed to shed, so your hair is like shedding but nothing's coming in, so your hair would start thinning out. That means your hair is not growing. If your hair is still maintaining the same density but not getting longer, you're just simply not retaining length. And let's start off with shedding, because shedding is like the easiest, not the easiest, but it's like the quickest to kind of talk about. Shedding is more of like a scalp and a internal thing. So if you're having an excessive amount of shedding, that could be caused by dehydration, it could be caused by a poor diet, it could be caused by medications or things that you're actually putting inside of your body. It could be a health issue. It could also be a stress issue. It could also be something that you're putting on your scalp, like directly onto your scalp, that's not agreeing with your hair. Or it could be from like a lot of dryness or irritation on your scalp. So shedding is an scalp issue and a like internal issue. In order to stop shedding, you have to figure out what your cause of shedding is. And honestly guys, nobody on YouTube is gonna be able to tell you this is exactly why your hair is shedding. Therefore, we're not gonna be able to tell you exactly how to fix it. What we can do is lead you to resources to get you to figure out what's going on so that you can come up with solutions. So honestly, if you're dealing with a lot of shedding, and I mean like a lot of shedding, because I also wanted to mention that shedding is normal. There are like 4 stages of hair growth, and the final stage is shedding, and the whole cycle can last a year to like 10 years or 2 to 7 or whatever the number is, but there will be a phase where your hair goes through a lot of shedding. So you may notice, like for people who have typical healthy hair, every few years your hair goes through and you just have a lot of shedding, but you're not really losing density, but you just notice that your hair is shedding a lot. That happens from time to time when your hair is just going through a whole like shedding phase. Again, there are 4, I can't remember each phase, but I know there's like a growth stage, there's 2 stages in between, and then there's like your actual like shedding stage where your hair is like done growing, it's just ready to fall out of your scalp. So as far as figuring it out, you guys Google, that's really the answer to figuring out what's the cause of shedding. There are like dozens of reasons that can cause shedding. It could be overdose on protein, not enough protein, not enough vitamin, whatever, too much vitamin, whatever. You kind of got to go through, look at those reasons, those lists, read up on them, and see what kind of identifies with your lifestyle. Because in a lot of conversations I have, people end up telling me after we're talking about it that, oh yeah, well, one of the medications that I'm taking, that's a side effect. And I'm like, well, ma'am, why are you asking me about shedding when you know what the problem is? You need to go back to your doctor and get something, I don't know, something to counter the side effects, or stop taking, I don't know what you need to do. But shedding is basically an internal thing or a scalp thing, and you have to figure out what your personal cause of shedding is in order to correct it. It could be something as simple as getting on vitamins, cutting back on certain things that you're eating, drinking more water, meditation, because stress does cause shedding. I actually had a bald spot come in my hair when I was going through a really tough time in my life, like 2 or 3 years ago. I was dealing with a lot. I was really stressed out. I was overwhelmed with my personal life, work, YouTube, everything was just getting to me. And I had a bald spot like smack dab in the middle of my hair, and it was stress related, and it grew right back. So as far as figuring out shedding, legit, you guys have to figure out what the cause is in order to get the solution. The solution could be a product, it could be medication, it could be you will find out you have an underlying health issue and you need to go on some kind of treatment. Like, you just got to figure out what the underlying cause is in order to treat the actual shedding. So next up is breakage. Again, breakage is when like the actual bottom part of your hair is literally just snapping off. And that is essentially from basically two things. Your hair is dry and brittle, or damaged and brittle. So basically brittleness and over manipulation. You're too rough on your hair, or you're doing too much to your hair. Even if you're not being too much, you're over styling. To cut back on that, you just got to figure out a style that's going to last you enough time. And some people can go through and wash their hair every other day. They have hair still, that's fine. But if you're like me, once a week is really as much as I need to be handling my hair. That's why I'm not able to throw out videos like back to back to back to back, because I can't do my hair multiple times a week. There are times when I do it, but I don't do it. I don't make a habit of doing my hair multiple times a week. If it happens, it happens, but that's not my habit. It's knowing your hair's threshold, knowing how much you can put on your hair. So if you're one of those people who cannot handle a bunch of styles, a bunch of styling, a bunch of like heavy-handed styling, my recommendation is to find you a go-to style that lasts you the longest amount of time. It usually is twist outs or wash and goes, and then learn styles in between, so that like you don't have to necessarily wash your hair when it starts looking bad. Whether it's you put it in a fro hawk, you put it in a low bun, high bun, just kind of get creative with your thing. So what I normally do is, like with this, I'm probably gonna end up, this is not gonna last me very long. I like how it looks today, but tomorrow or the next day it's not gonna look very good. It'll look good if I just push it up into a puff. Like, see, that looks good already. So just kind of figure out what can you do to take the style that you already have and just kind of pin it up a certain kind of way, and identify a style that's going to last you the longest amount of time. Another thing to help with that brittleness and stopping breakage is protein. Protein treatments make a huge difference in my hair, at least, because I have colored hair. You guys see that my hair is bleached and my hair is also damaged, y'all. I did a whole spiel on that. If you missed it, go ahead and click up here, because people are still asking, did you cut your hair? Yes, clearly I cut my hair. It's not as big as it was, so what else happened to it? I cut it. So yeah, protein definitely goes a long way, but again, with that, you need to learn what types of protein treatments are gonna work best for your hair. Some people, I'm still iffy on that. Some people can slap some mayonnaise on it and call it a protein treatment, but stylists and scientists say that putting mayonnaise or eggs and yogurt and all that stuff on your hair, it coats it, it makes it feel good, but they're not actually penetrating the hair shaft to give you a legitimate protein treatment. So I'm always going to be an advocate for Apogee. Lately I've been using Hass placenta, and I do have a video on my channel talking about placenta. And what else do I like to use? Dog always barking. Those are my main two. I can't think of what else I use, but those are my main two. Oh, Straight Request. The stuff that I get, my stylist who colors my hair, she uses this stuff called Straight Request. It's a professional product. It's really expensive. You can get by with Apogee and the Hass placenta, but the Straight Request is something called Next Level, and then there's something else in like a gold bottle. It's called, I think it's called Bond 1000 or something like that, but it has amino acids and is like made to actually like rebuild and reconstruct your hair. Quick recap, because I feel like I got on a tangent. Breakage is when you actually like snapping off pieces of your hair that are still attached to your scalp, whereas shedding is it's coming all the way out from the scalp. And then curb breakage, protein treatment, not manipulating a lot. Oh, and of course moisturizing. You gotta learn how to properly moisturize your hair. I have so many videos on how to moisturize your hair, but it boils down to knowing how to layer your products. If you're somebody that feels like my hair is always dry, nothing ever works, you don't know how to layer your products. You don't know how to select products that work for you. Personally, I like a lot of products. A lot of products I pick up have honey or avocado in it or almond oil in it. I can go through and like all my favorite products. I've been doing my top series. When I've been reading the ingredients off on the bottle, a lot of times y'all hear honey and avocado. Honey and avocado. Every now and then some almond, but honey and avocado are the things that make my hair feel really good and moisturized. So you gotta figure out what is a moisturizing oil, or not even an oil, ingredient. It could be glycerin, it could be coconut milk. You gotta figure out what it is that your hair likes and select for that when you're shopping your products. Then you got to figure out how to layer them. There's the lock method, the leave-in oil cream method, or there's leave-in cream and oil, or some people skip the oil, some people can just do leave-in and oil. You just got to figure out what works for your hair. So I recommend you guys getting on your phone a hair diary. You can just make a note and say, on this day I use this is how long the moisture lasts, it felt good immediately, then maybe it dried out. So you got to figure out, like, you just got to keep a hair diary and take notes and capitalize on the things. Like if you notice that you use this one product and your hair felt really, really moisturized for a day, but maybe it dried out the next day, you need to go back and be reading those ingredients, because something in that product your hair did like, but perhaps you didn't seal it in properly. Maybe you need an oil or a butter after you apply that specific product to get it to trap in and not dry out. And typically, most people feel like they have low porosity hair because they do that water test, but that water test is biased. Most times hair is going to float because we're putting it in, the temperature of the water can manipulate how the hair is going to float. If you put it in cold or cool water, that closes the cuticle, so hair will float. If you're putting it in warm water, that opens the cuticle, hair is going to sink because it's soaking up that water. My best advice on how to figure out your porosity: if your hair takes a long time to absorb water and feel fully saturated, then your hair is probably low porosity. That means that your cuticles are tightly shut and it takes heat or something to get your cuticles to lift. They don't just lift, and they're not just open. If your hair, as soon as you put the water on it, it immediately like droops down and feels all saturated and ready to go, then you are high porosity. If you're right in between, then you're medium porosity. You need to learn your porosity because that tells you how to, like, where to focus on. So if you're low porosity, your focus is getting ingredients that can actually penetrate the hair shaft, which for me is honey and avocado. I'm low porosity. But if you are high porosity, you don't have an issue with products actually absorbing into your hair. You have a problem with your hair drying out. And that's why I feel like a lot of people are misdiagnosing themselves with their porosity, because a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, I'm low porosity, but I moisturize my hair, it feels good for a couple hours and then it dries out. That's high porosity. Your hair is taking that product and it's actually getting soft, but the fact that it's drying out so quick, that means that that moisture is escaping. That's high porosity. So you need to focus on actually sealing in the moisture. And I can keep going on and on and on about moisture. There's so much you can say about moisture. There's so many different elements, but it boils down to trial and error, learning your porosity, learning how to layer your products. That's why I recommend writing it down. Write down what works for you, what didn't work. That helps too, because you can see what to stay away from. Like early on when I was transitioning, and even now, olive oil, if something is really, really concentrated in olive oil, or something that's really, really like a concentrated shea butter that's not whipped up really nicely with some water in it, that just sits on my hair. It makes my hair feel stiff. So I kind of stay away from stuff like that. I'll experiment with it here and there, because if it's whipped up just right and it's really lightweight and it's really water-based, then I can get away with using products with shea and olive oil on my hair. But if it's like straight olive oil, I'm not putting it on my hair. If it's a shea butter, I'm not putting it on my hair, because I know my hair does not like it. If you are struggling with shedding and breakage, I hope this video helped you out a lot. Again, I want to reiterate, some shedding is normal. Hair sheds, there are phases in the growth cycle, and that final stage is shedding. Also, shedding can happen seasonally. When you need to be worried is when you actually noticing a change in your density. Shedding is pretty much, it's normal, it happens. The hair has to fall out so that new hair can grow in. As far as breakage, again, that is a maintenance, that is a moisture, and that is a protein thing. You gotta figure out what you're doing in your routine to snap your hair off and cut it out, basically. A lot of these issues and solutions with shedding and with breakage, even with like growing your edges, the hair growth, all of that, you gotta figure out what you're doing wrong, stop it, and then your hair will do it on its own. Like a lot of people say, oh, my edges, how can I grow my edges out? Figure out what you're doing wrong and stop. A lot of times it's from people applying too much product on their edges. They want to be able to keep doing what they're doing wrong and then put a band-aid on it and hope it gets better. But no, you just got to stop doing what you're doing. Every day you don't need laid edges. You figure out how to wear a bang. Figure out, I don't know, maybe the night before put some cream on it instead of some gel on it. Tie it down and then take it off in the morning so it stays flat. But I mean, you just got to figure out ways around, because at the end of the day, it's health over length. It doesn't matter. Cute edges don't matter if you ain't got no edges, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So I hope this video was helpful. If you guys want some more hair tips, let me know. Just leave some more questions in the description box and I'll get on it. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, go ahead and comment what kind of tips, what else you want me to talk about on this channel. And don't forget to subscribe and cut your notification bells on before you leave. Bye.